Debbie,
Good. Still hear me?
Yes.
we can hear you. Sol for the sun, and sistare, which means to stop. So you've got
Right.
the sun
And
stop.
that's right. And what's stopping is, and so it's like, the early stargazers didn't have this view of Earth in orbit around the sun, but they
Oh,
could see the sun rising and setting on the horizon. And at the solstice, you've got the northernmost sunrises and sunsets
you've
for
got the
the year.
northernmost sunrises and sunsets, and of course, the early Greeks thought that the Earth was the center of the universe, and so everything was whipping around them, including the sun and the planets, and they all followed one path, but they noticed that the stars followed a different path, and they weren't quite matched up. That was Hipparchus. Hipparchus figured, clever guy, that Hipparchus. He figured that out a long, long time ago.
Smart guy.
Yeah, and so
A
they
couple
had the
thousand years
celestial
ago.
sphere. They didn't know
Yeah.
what was going on up there. They didn't know how it was put together, but they knew that from the Earth, it looked like we were in the inside of a ball. And they called that ball the celestial sphere. And we still use that term today. Their celestial sphere was based on the location of the sun, and but ours is based on the location of the planet. It's not that different, and we still use it.
Let's talk about the celestial sphere for a minute, because the solstice is such a great time to have a party or to celebrate. And one of the ways
That's
that
what we used to do.
we in astronomy like to celebrate is by looking at the night sky.
Mm,
So, Marcy,
yeah.
can you, or wait, well, Marcy? Yeah, Marcy. Marcy, why don't you tell us about a couple things we can see in the night sky around this solstice? And here is my favorite of those things, which is the planet Jupiter is coming back into view before the sunrise. So all you have to do is look east. So, right, Marcy?
Right. If you get up and about 20, 30 minutes before sunrise, you should be able to pick out bright Jupiter in the morning twilight. It does show pretty well. I saw it about 20 minutes before sunrise last week. And each
Oh,
day
cool.
it'll get a little higher. And you'll notice on our chart there, one of our favorite star clusters, the Pleiades, is going to be near Jupiter in the sky. And if you look up a little higher in the sky, you're going to see reddish Mars, maybe. If it's twilight, it might have already faded into the morning light. But we've
And
got
that
those two
Right.
planets in the morning
That,
sky
that
right now.
oh, I'm sorry.
So, yeah,
Oh,
let's talk about that, how you're actually going to see this. So, this is a photo from someone in our community, and you guys may not know it, but EarthSky has this amazing community of photographers that contribute images to our community photo page. So, this is Gemini Brett. I don't know if I remember where he is, maybe California, or maybe he's in Utah. I'm not sure 100%
those
where
sure
he
look
is.
like California's foothills to me,
Yeah.
but it could be
So,
anywhere Mediterranean.
so he sent this image in last week. So Jupiter is the second brightest planet, and if you see it in the night sky against a dark sky, it's really, really bright. But Gemini caught it just as it was coming into view, just before sunrise. And you probably can't even see it on your screens here, but the arrow is pointing to where Jupiter is here. And every day as Earth goes around the sun, we're going to see Jupiter a little bit farther. As we move along in orbit, we're going to see Jupiter, our vantage point on Jupiter is going to shift just a little bit, and we're going to see it just a little bit higher above that sunrise. So, all through the month of June, in fact, all through the summer, you
All
can
summer
watch Jupiter get higher and higher, farther and farther from the sunrise, getting easier and easier to view.
until it's
So,
on the
Marcy,
other
what
side of the
else?
planet.
Well,
What else have we got?
we can turn to the evening sky this week. The moon is racing towards full. It'll be full on Friday night, all night, the day after the solstice. But on Wednesday night, June 19th, it's a great night to find the bright red star Antares. The moon's going to be very close to Antares that night. Then on
So wait
Thursday
a
night,
minute. Tell me about this, Marcy. Tell me about this chart. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at that big round thing is the moon.
right, the big round thing is the moon. And we've got the two constellation Scorpius laid out there. It looks like a fish hook or a J. And then we've also got a pattern of stars that are called the teapot. They're just a group of stars that are in part of Sagittarius.
And so we're
And so
seeing this over several nights, June 19th, 20th, and 21st.
Right. So this will be Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night. As soon as it turns dark, you'll be able to see this. And again, on Wednesday night, the moon's near the bright red star Antares. And then on Thursday night, the day of our solstice, it's halfway between Antares and the teapot. And then on full moon night, you're going to see the full moon near the teapot. And what's really cool is the little spout of this teapot looks like it's pointing at our galactic center. So you can see this every night this week.
So pointing at the galactic center. So tell me about that. What does that mean exactly?
Well, the center of our Milky Way galaxy is hidden behind a bunch of gas and dust in the constellation of Sagittarius. So basically where that little spout is pointing towards is we're looking toward the very center of the Milky Way.
Wow. And so why are we seeing it now? Like what's going on that we can see that?
Again, it has to do with our orbit around the sun. And in the summertime, we're looking towards the galactic center and looking over a really thick portion of the Milky Way. So if it's dark enough, you can actually see a huge band of the Milky Way stretching across the sky. And it's going to end up right there between the teapot and Scorpius is where it's going to touch your southern horizon as it arcs across the sky.
Okay, so that's
looks
June.
like the steam coming out of the teapot.
Right.
Yeah. So that's June 19th, 20th, and 21st.
Yes.
The moon is going to be in this part of the sky where you can see the bright star Antares. And if your sky is dark enough and the moon doesn't completely obliterate it from view, you'll be able to see this teapot pattern. And basically on the nights of June 20th and 21st, you're more or less on both of those nights looking toward the center of the Milky Way galaxy.
Correct.
Okay, so one thing that we did this week that was really fun was that we asked our audience on Facebook and Twitter and some other places, what does the Milky Way mean to you? And so here's a response from Teresa Molinero. I think she's in Sicily, it's somewhere around Italy. And she's a wonderful photographer, but she said to her, summer is Milky Way season. So that's just what Marcy was talking about, that in the summertime, the Milky Way is not completely up now until maybe midnight or something like that. But as Earth is moving in its orbit around the sun and our night sky is pointing out in slightly different directions, that Milky Way is going to be rising earlier and earlier, and we're going to see it earlier in the evening, so that by August evenings, we'll see it in the early evening stretched across the whole sky.
You get the whole sky of the Milky Way. And here in this picture that we're looking at, you can see there's Scorpius up in the upper right-hand corner, just like in our chart. So if you go back and look at the chart, there's Scorpius. That's what it'll look like. Those will be much easier to see if you don't have really good dark skies than the Milky Way. Milky Way can be a little hard to see, especially if you're in the city. Almost impossible from there, but everywhere else, and it's just one of the most beautiful things you're ever going to see. A million billion stars.
And definitely summer is the time to see it. So here's another Milky Way picture that DS Astrophotography sent to us this week.
Gorgeous.
Summer is when the Milky Way core rises after the peepers do their nightly song. And I don't know what the peepers are.
Crickets, I hope.
Crickets, I guess. But yeah. So the people who follow astronomy and go outside and look at things in the sky all know about this, that summer is Milky Way time.
Get a pair of binoculars and go have a look at that, and you will be absolutely floored.
So summer in Georgia. Donna Crow sent us this image from Georgia, and it's a beautiful, looks like a mimosa tree in bloom. And of course, summer is the time when everything's blooming and looking very beautiful. Let me go to the next one. Summer means sunbathing. And you got some lizards here, sunbathing from Sue Binwell, gave us this image. Shannon Kelly said to her, summer is ocean swimming and kayaking.
Hang 10.
Yeah, right.
Cowabunga.
Yeah. Even here in Austin, Texas, where I am, I see a lot of people kayaking, and I see a lot of people on those because we have a river that has long since been turned into a lake that runs through the middle of Austin, and I see people riding those paddle boards. Is that what they
Yeah.
call them? When it's just like
The standing paddle boards.
the standing paddle boards. I see a lot of people riding those paddle boards, and so this
Those are
time of year,
very
they're awesome.
popular in the estuaries in Central California.
Right.
People love to ride those in the calm.
Yes.
And you can ride them in the waves if you're adventurous.
So even those of us who don't have an ocean can enjoy water activities at this time of year. Here's
There's a lot of
Georgia
water.
Brown. Yep, Georgia Brown says she likes to hear the crickets chirping
Couldn't
in the
agree more,
summertime.
Georgia.
Jenny Elliott said she likes to see she likes the solstice. Didn't say why she likes it, but she likes it. Watching the grandkids play baseball.
Baseball.
And so here's one that kind of confused me. Both of these comments talked about the green flash. And can one of you guys tell us what the green flash is?
Well, it's a phenomenon you see at sunset when the atmosphere is right. And as the sun disappears,
Oh, wait, we have
some
a
of its
picture of it.
rays
There it is.
there you go. Some of its rays are distorted by the atmosphere. And so their wavelength is changed and they get a different color. And sometimes you can see a green flash at the very tail end. It's often more apparent over large stretches of water. So, like if you're looking west over the Pacific or in the Midwest over the Great Lakes or something like that.
So why would this be a summertime phenomenon?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe because you're at the beach more. I don't know.
I think that's the reason, right? Marcy and I were talking
no
about
idea.
that earlier. So this is Jim Grant, who contributed this photo, and he's sent us over the years many amazing photos of green flashes. And you can see in this photo that there's just a little tiny piece of green on the very upper rim of the sun.
That's an astounding photo. Look at that composition.
Right.
Kudos, Jim.
Pelicans.
That's amazing, guys.
Yeah, it's an amazing photo.
It really is. Wow.
Yeah. So it's very cool. And so there's also this. I know I was on the beach in Mexico once in the summer, obviously, and because you got to go to the beach in the summer, right? And I was walking along with a friend, and I happened to turn away for a second, and he was like, "Look at that!" And it was what he saw was an actual like a ray. So there's also this thing called the green ray where it shoots
pillar.
up. Yeah, where it shoots up. It's basically the same phenomenon, but
Yeah, that's a solar pillar, and you can see those. Usually, you see those in late autumn, and I'm not sure. Again, it's probably got something to do with the seasons, with the tilt of the Earth. But anyway, it's an atmospheric condition where you see a light pillar just coming straight up from the spot on the horizon where the sun has set or is setting. I saw it one time.
That's a different one. That's a
but
different
it turns
phenomenon.
green, isn't it? The same thing?
Oh no, I don't know.
I don't know. We're going to have to find out.
Yeah, what I've always called a sun pillar is it's more associated with cooler weather, and because it's caused by ice crystals that are floating in the atmosphere. So, but the green ray is not associated with ice crystals. It's purely an optical phenomenon having to do with the thickness of the atmosphere and the direction toward the horizon. So I don't know if those are two different things or not.
I don't know. Well, I got to find out. I'm going to have to go looking for it now. Something to hunt for. Another reason to go outside and look at the sky.
That's right. So let's talk for just another second about, other things that you can see around this solstice, because we talked about the you can see the northernmost sunrises and sunsets. And Dave, you talked about the fact that the sun is highest in the sky at noon.
at noon when
If you're
when
in
it's
the Northern Hemisphere, the
right.
sun is highest in the sky at noon.
And the opposite is
And
true if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, where it's lowest, its most southern point. Unless you're
right.
at a pole, that's an interesting thing. So if you're up at the poles, the sun is going to come above the horizon and stay there for 6 months, and then it's going to go back down. It'll change its height above the horizon. And what I've always found really interesting about that is that means that the moon is basically almost always above the horizon too. So you get to watch the phases of the moon change without having to wait for it to come up and down. I always wanted to see that, but it's too
Wow,
cold.
that sounds cool.
Doesn't
Yeah,
that
that
sound cool?
sounds
I
yes.
simulated it once on Stellarium just to make sure I was right, and lo and behold, there it was. And it bobs up and down in a sine wave along the horizon as it changes over the days. I really want to see
Wow.
that. Yeah.
I never thought about that, but that
Hmm.
that must be right.
And then
That's
it,
so cool.
and so when you're getting you've got your full moon, it's going to be opposite where the sun is still in the sky, so it's behind you in the sky. And then when they're in conjunction and you're getting your new moon, then you can see them right there next to each other. It's really I want to go see that. More stuff from my list of reasons to go outside and have a look around.
That's right. That's right. So, so anybody who happens to be watching this, tell us in the chat what the summer means to you, what the solstice means to you. So we did ask that to our audience on social media over the past few days, and wow, we got like a big response with a lot of people, telling us what summer meant to them. And here's another one. This one is from
Mhm.
Joy D, who's in Tampa, Florida, and she's talking about afternoon thunderstorms, which, gosh, I wish we had those here in Texas. We
We
haven't
have them
had
in
rain.
Wyoming every day practically.
Oh, you have
Wow,
afternoon thunderstorms. How
We
cool.
do.
big
That's
sky over there.
a summer phenomenon. Yeah, it must be because you've got snow in the winter, right?
Right. Oh, yes, we have lots of snow in the winter, but yeah, in Wyoming, and Nebraska area, you have a thunderstorm usually roll through every afternoon, and they're quick. It might, rain for 10 minutes and it drops the temperature 20 degrees and moves on. But we get a lot of them
Wow.
here. We get hail here a lot too in the summer.
Wow.
Summer weather. Well,
Yes.
I get to watch the thunderheads over the Sierra from down here at the bottom of the San Joaquin Valley and the Great California Valley. And you watch the thunderheads. They look like, they call them anvil clouds, and that's what they look like. And when you see one of those, there's a big lightning storm in the high Sierra in the backcountry.
Yeah,
How
I
cool.
get to watch those grow as they head, further to the east from us, and some of them are massive.
Oh,
You're
they're
just like, oh,
enormous.
somebody's getting pounded.
Yeah, tens of miles wide and just tall as
They're
can be.
huge.
Yeah.
Well, we in Texas get to go outside at 10 o'clock at night and it's still 98 degrees.
We don't have that
Oh yeah,
problem
we
in
get that
Wyoming.
too. one of the joys
Yeah,
of living in the Central Valley is it was 100 degrees for the last week. It's calmed down now. It'll be 103 on Saturday.
right. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
We've had
Wow.
actually so far. Ooh,
Ooh.
Noctilucent Clouds, Simon Luckman. Noctilucent Clouds. If I don't know where Simon is, but if I had to bet, I would bet that he's someplace like the UK
Yeah.
because you've got to be at a pretty high latitude to see these noctilucent clouds, which are also called night shining clouds. But they do show up. They start showing up for the year in June, typically. And Marcy, you said you'd seen something on spaceweather.com that
Yeah,
people had already been seeing.
the first sighting this year was May 25th, and it's usually associated with meteor dust high in the
Meteor.
atmosphere. So yeah, they've
Right.
had spottings of them already.
So it
Right.
has to do with ice crystals, and they have to have a nucleus to form, and so must be the meteor dust. I know we're coming into meteor season when we get more incidental meteors, peaking in August. So
Oh,
that's another summer. That's a big summertime thing for me, is going out meteor watching.
absolutely. And the noctilucent clouds are associated with meteors, and so
Right.
with high in the atmosphere, but you
Yeah.
don't. There doesn't have to be a meteor shower going on in order to see the noctilucent clouds. It's a
No.
totally separate phenomenon, because once that meteor dust, those little sand
Micrometeors.
size bits of stuff hit the atmosphere, and then they vaporize as they're falling through friction with the atmosphere, and then some of that dust stays up in our atmosphere.
A
And I
lot
mean
of the
that's going on all the time. Like
all the
it's
time.
not just when a meteor shower is happening,
No.
but every day we're being bombarded with stuff from space,
The
bits of
the
dust.
the mass of meteor dust that comes to the Earth is really small. I mean, micro-sized, and it just floats down. It doesn't ionize and burn up. And so, if you go out and clean your gutters, so go out and clean your rain gutters and your roof, and scoop all that stuff into a bucket, and then get yourself a nice strong magnet, and you can pull the iron micrometeorites out of your rain gutter that way. And you can get
What?
your yes, yes. I swear, I promise you can do that.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
so
but
cool.
meteors are really cool. When you see a meteor going, that is probably a good flashy meteor is about the size of a grain of rice. That's a good sized meteor, and it's got the consistency of wood ash, so it's not strong stuff. It just goes poof and it's gone. Now, when we're talking about something that hits a meteorite, that's obviously going to be a heavy iron chondrite, something made of stone or metal. But the vast majority of the stuff is ashy nothingness that just goes poof in the atmosphere. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And you get nice colors this time. You get the reds and the would you get, it seems to me, and now this might just be my bias, that you get the greens and the blues in the winter, and you get the reds and the oranges in the summer.
You're talking about the meteor
I,
flashes
I'm
themselves?
talking. I'm talking about the ionized trails that they can leave, or just the
I
colors that
see.
they give off.
Right. And I think that's partly dependent on what they're made of too. So it could be
Sure.
like, I know that I think of the Geminid meteor shower in December as the meteors being whiter. And then the Perseid meteor shower in August, I think of those meteors as being just more colorful.
Right. Yeah.
So it's different. They're just,
Yeah. It could be the composition. Could be I have no idea. I'm not a meteorologist.
right. And so, so meteors, we in the Northern Hemisphere do also think of summertime as meteor watching time.
Hmm.
And I don't think we have a picture of that in here,
I don't think we
but
do.
yeah,
But you want to get
but
out there from 2 a.m. to dawn and lay
right.
back.
And it's like now isn't the very best time
No,
to do it,
not
because of
yet.
course we've got a nearly full moon in the sky, and that'll wash out any kind of meteors. It's really best to wait until maybe starting about the last 10 days to a week of July on into, say, mid-August. That's
Right.
really, for the Northern Hemisphere, the best time. And the reason it's the best time is that two different major meteor showers are peaking around then. And they both, it's meteor showers don't, some meteor showers do just happen over a single night, but those particular meteor showers, the Delta Aquariids and the Perseids, both
Last
kind
for
of
days and days.
ramble along, and you can see them together, and it's just really spectacular if you're
It
under
is.
a dark sky in the
And
summer.
August is also the peak of the incidental meteor season. It's when Earth
Right.
is facing on. If you think about it as a car, our windshield is pointing directly into the pathway of our orbit at 2 a.m. in during meteor season. That's the best time to go out and look. Is the you know that's when you're going to see the most oncoming meteors. You'll still see the Earth grazers. So if you think about that analogy, you get bug splats on your windshield. And so if they're coming straight at you, you get a nice big round splat. But if they hit the side, they kind of stretch out. And so you get earth grazers. Those are,
Yeah,
those are
and
fun.
that's really cool to see also. So before midnight, better time to see earth grazers. After midnight, more meteors.
Right.
And all that's happening there is that Earth is turning on its axis, and it's turning you from the backside of Earth to the forward time of Earth after
Right.
midnight. So that's
We're
that
yeah.
windshield analogy that Dave's talking
So
about.
it's going along the path around the sun, and the Earth is spinning. And so that means that different parts of the planet are pointed along this pathway around the sun at different times of the day. And for wherever you are on the planet, you're pointing forward at 2 a.m. local time.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So let's see, what else do we have? Oh, here's a summer hater. Summer is dismal, sweaty discomfort, sleeping in front of a box fan every night, running from bloodthirsty deer flies, and swatting dozens of mosquitoes. Oh, and the ticks.
Which is why you should be outside at night when it's cool and sleeping during the day. The mosquitoes go to bed in the middle of the night. They're not out. You're up watching the meteors. So you just gotta roll with the seasons.
I think we got another summer hater after this. We'll let this one go uncommented on. How about that?
It speaks for itself.
It speaks for itself. Yeah, and this one is showing a fire. But before we talk about that, the people who dislike summer and who really think of it as just being that hot weather, Marcy, tell us about that. Like, what's going on with that? Like, it's hot in June, right? But doesn't it get hotter as summer goes on? Like, what's going on there?
It does. What's going on is, as Dave mentioned before, about, the sun is in the northern part of the sky, as high north as it ever gets. And you're getting direct sunlight and you've got longer days. So what happens is it takes a while to really start getting that solar radiation to kind of embed itself in the terrain and the ocean. So technically our hottest days are about a month and 2 months after the solstice, the summer solstice. And conversely, in the Southern Hemisphere, their coldest months are the month or two after the winter solstice, because it takes a while for all that heat that's been absorbed in the ground in the ocean to release. So we do have our hottest days basically late July and August in the Northern Hemisphere, and the coldest temperature is going to be in the Southern Hemisphere in like January and February. And they call that the latency of the seasons.
Yeah, or the lag of the seasons.
Yes.
Seasonal lag.
Yeah, so that happens every year. The hottest weather follows the day of the solstice by a couple of months. And so those of you who are complaining about the hot weather now, you've got a ways to go.
Well, wait for 16,000 years when this is all reversed and we're closer in our orbit.
Right.
Oh,
so
that's right.
Right now,
that's
ironically,
true.
we are furthest away from the sun as we get. That's happening right around this time of year.
Yeah,
that's right.
July.
It could be worse. It can always be worse. So.
Right. Okay. Well, it's like if you're in the Southern Hemisphere now, then it is worse, right? Worse, because it's
exactly.
Yeah, because the Southern Hemisphere is farthest from in the Southern Hemisphere. You're farthest from the sun during your winter, and you're closest to the sun during your summer.
Right.
But for the Northern Hemisphere, it's opposite.
It's important to note it's not a huge difference. Earth's path around the sun is almost a perfect circle. Not quite. It's got a little stretch in it, but it doesn't.
So let's go to this. Let's go to this image from Matthew Harrison.
Well, I don't like to talk about these fires because I know they're coming for us here in California.
I know. It's kind of scary, huh? Like, you're scared of the fires the way that we in Texas are scared of the power outages.
Oh, there's just nothing you can do. And
there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do.
Right. And if there's power outages, it sucks to be in Texas.
You know what? I tell a lie. There are things you can do. Create a safe space. Make sure you have available water to treat these things. Make sure your house is adequately signaged so people can find you when you call emergency. There are things you can do. But we are at the mercy of nature here.
Right. And with the power situation, like, the reason we in Texas are so scared of it is that we did have some unusual cold weather in 2021, and our power went out statewide. There was no power in the whole state except for the people that had emergency power and generators on their house. And that's
my daughters were in Houston for that.
Right. And I was here in Austin, and I didn't have power for 4 days, and it was like, 16 degrees, which for me, might as well be 30 below. I'm so unused to the cold weather. So I spent those 4 days looking at my phone and sitting in my car, charging my phone, and wrapped up in a sleeping bag. It
Of
was
course, without
cold.
power, you can't run a gas pump to go get more gas for the car. It was a bad situation.
Yeah, it was bad.
So
So,
be
but it would be
prepared is the
so much
message here.
worse. It would be so much worse if it happened in the summer because it would really truly be dangerous
And they
here in
have been
Texas.
sending out the warnings, haven't they? They've been
Yes,
sending you
they
guys.
have.
Yes.
Actually, what they just sent was they sent a thing saying, you can volunteer to be on this voluntary lower your thermostat program, but oh, by the way, you're on the program.
And let you opt out. Oh
Yeah,
dear.
it's like you don't have to volunteer. You're already on it, and you can opt out. But it's probably hard to figure that out. But that's the scary side of summer. So Arizona, California, places like that, you're worried about the fires. We've had a few fires here, but we're more worried about excessive heat and
And
humidity.
people who are
So
complaining about the mosquitoes aren't wrong. We do get West Nile virus here, and we get something called valley fever, which only happens in 2 places in the world, right here and Texas. So, well, actually, I think it's in
woohoo!
Arizona as well. But so there are some things to
So
look out for.
we just have a couple more here. Summer smiles and
Yeah,
sunflower.
big tall
Yay!
sunflowers.
Summer is wakeboarding at sunset.
Hmm.
Woohoo! Yeah, and that's beautiful.
It's
That is
pretty.
gorgeous.
And summer's on the lake. Sandy Smollett sent that in. Thank you, Sandy, and thank you to everybody
Yes,
who
thank you
sent
so
us their
much.
images. This one is from Mohammed Nawaz. He's got his dog at sunset apparently here, and the June solstice. It's 2051 UTC or 3:51 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, June 20th. And so we're wishing all of you a great summer and
Happy
a
summer.
great
Happy
summer
solstice.
solstice.
Yes. We'll see you next
Bye.
time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys.